So today we're gonna go into wisdom, right? And the reason why I'm going into wisdom is this is literally the most intricate part of the magnum opus. This is how I got led to understanding reality and your part in your play in reality, right? So everybody has this misconception about the whole and the micro and macro perspective of the whole, right? So we are literally in a system, right? People think it's an enclosed system, right? And it is. There's something called cosmic egg, and we're literally enclosed in the seeable universe, or whatever they call it, what they can see as far out, right? But here's the thing: we do have an enclosed system like our body, but there's also a field, right? So there's magnetic field. I know everybody understands. I mean, some people don't understand it, but I know everybody in the science field understands the electromagnetic field, and we're always reacting to the field and interacting with the field, right? So, and our bodies give off electricity. Our heart gives off electricity, and also magnetism and things like that. That's the magnetism, right? The reason why I use wisdom is because everything is literally part of the whole. And if anybody thinks that their life or their contribution to the whole is not significant, then you are belittling literally God on a scale. Because what he did was he created you out of his image, meaning he made you a little version of him, and you have all his attributes, like you're a creator. You can do that not on his scale, obviously not in his way, but you're a creator. You are you have power, stuff like that, right? But also you are a reacting and dynamic contributor to the whole, to the field. And people meet people through this field, and everybody separates. I was just watching something. He wanted to separate philosophy and science, and you cannot. All the greatest inventor and science people studied the arts. They studied alchemy. They studied philosophy. They studied things of the unseen. And I'm going to say unseen as very important, right? Because in science, we use a scientific method where we measure and we study things that we can see. And even the things that we can't see, we use measurements that we can see to study the things that we can't see, right? And we find that when we observe something, things change, or things change values, or change position, right? In quantum physics. The reason why I'm using this wisdom and putting it all together is that our reaction and our contribution to the whole, to this whole reality or this whole universe, is as significant as a supernova, or is as significant as the star. And in the book, the Alchemist, all right, that Paulo Coelho wrote, which is one of the best novels you're ever going to read. I mean that, right? He said he had a dialogue with the earth and the sun, and they are literally bouncing off of each other, almost like entanglement, like quantum entanglement. They live solely for each other. Without the earth, the sun would not want to exist, and without the sun, the earth wouldn't want to exist. And if you read the Bible, this really, with the Son of God and all that, since everybody thinks that Jesus is really a man. If you read the Bible, you will notice how significant the book, the alchemy, and their relationship is. When they say Jesus came to this earth, the atonement, when he came to this earth to die for the sins of every human being, that is a very true statement, that he really did do that. He came to this earth solely to save humans, to save us. And when I look at the things that I went through in my life, I find so significance in that, right? And I use it. I use the Quran and studying the Quran, and I use it in studying the Injil, the Gospel in the New Testament, in the Old Testament, the Torah too. And I use it to help me, step by step in his life because of what I've been through. Now, I said that I was going to present like a lot of stuff. So I'm going through my legal work, right? So I'm laughing because look, this is my discovery, and this is not even most of it, right? It's not even most of my discovery, right? And I wrote a PCR. I did a PCRA, right? I did an appeal on my case, right? And I'm showing the paperwork on my case because one of the reasons why I show it, like I said, it's not for the people on my case or nothing like that. I could care less about them. It's more show context, right, of the case. And what I mean by that is that if you were put on this earth, right, and you went through a hardship, right, would you want your child to go through the same hardship? It's all part of the whole, right? And we had to experience it, but would you want your child to go through it? Would you want your child to have the same experience as you if you could help it? Now the question is, if you went through something, would you want somebody that's not your child to go through it? Would you want somebody that's not your child to be crucified like Jesus was? The reason why I ask you that is because when people do things to others, right, they act like that they act like they not only will nothing happen to them, like they're gonna get away with it, but then they act like almost like they almost like they was like they give a justification for it, right? They act like they're exhumed from responsibility from it, right? And one of the main reasons why when I seek revenge, I always seek revenge on the infliction, like the eye for an eye. And I always seek revenge on the infliction, and I give just punishment. And the reason why I do that is because when I do these things, I'm participating in the whole. I am participating in the dynamics of the whole, right? Everything I do is just. It literally is just. And mind you, anytime I seek an action, I always seek it in ratio from the offense, right? And I have a right to do that because it was me. It's me. And people will say, well, the courts have a right to do stuff like that. The thing is that if anybody looks at the court system, right, and looks at that as being just, then you don't really know nothing about the court system, and you're probably not in the criminal justice system at all, because there's nothing just about it. There's nothing. When you say your honor, I stop saying your honor. I have the PCRA right here. I never say your honor. I never say honorable court in the PCRA. The main reason why I never said that is because there's nothing honorable about that court system. There's nothing honorable about it. You will never find honor in that. How you gonna find honor into a system that hangs people and overlooks some things over money or popularity? They would never give out perpetual punishment. They will never do that. There's nothing just about it. They would never do that, right? Because if they were going to do that, then a lot of people there wouldn't be what they call a kangaroo trial. A lot of people would not be unjustly punished for things, right? And before I actually leave this earth myself, I want to make sure that I actually understand that part, because there's been things that's happened to me in my life that I've never, I don't know how it could happen to me. I didn't deserve this. And I've always wondered that. I've always thought about those type of things. I'm like, wow, that's interesting. Maybe I get some type of retribution in the future, or maybe I find out what this is for because I didn't deserve this. And that's part of the whole. That's what I would say about the wisdom part. In the Bible, in the book of Psalms, David says to God, to you, I'm born and I die for you. We're slaughtered all day like sheep. I'm born and I die from you. I'll look up the Psalms. I'll bring it up there. So we are active participants in the whole, right? Like I said about earlier. And if we're active participants and God tells us to do something, we come here on this reality and then we do it, right? And I fully, totally believe that when I went through this hardship, that I went through it to change things for my child or anybody else's child to not go through that. I was unjustly persecuted for a crime that I didn't commit, more than likely because of other crimes that I didn't commit, and perceptions of people. And that should not be a punishment, right? And when you look at those things from a perspective of even me, because obviously it's happening to me, you look at the way people look at you and they treat you afterwards. Like, for example, if I was dating somebody and somebody told me before I went to the date that the girl that I'm talking to is a 304, how would you treat that woman? You see, you get what I'm saying? And I've actually had a lot of things happen to me just off preconceived notions of what people said even about me. So now, this is part of the feedback into the whole. When you do something to somebody and it's undeserved, and truthfully, you are of a lesser caliber of that person, then the punishment is going to be almost super severe. And I said in one of the videos that I've literally seen people get killed over stuff like that. I've literally watched people that have done stuff to me that are no longer on this earth anymore because, and I'm not going to say that was because of what they did to me, but it's a pattern of the stuff that they do, and the punishment ended up costing them their life. And this is part of this plan that God has in store for everybody. And this is actually one of the reasons why I make this video, because I make this video to make sure that nobody behind me goes through what I went through. I'm here to make sure that nobody behind me has evidence planted on them by the Gun Violence Task Force in Philadelphia. I'm gonna make sure that nobody behind me has to spend 5 years in county prison or county jail fighting for his freedom. This is one of those things where you look at it and you're like, oh man, this is like, that bull must be suicidal. No, I'm not suicidal. I'm just very gangster. See, because when you go up against a formidable opponent, you have to be formidable. And I laugh because like people like they'll like you could be the most toughest person, you know, in the world, right? And you'll also have moments that are not tough. There's going to be moments that are going to be what do you call them, like bad moments. Like, all right, we see Diddy on the camera and he's dragging Cassie up the hall, right? And let's say later on down the line, Diddy gets beat up by a man, and then they'll say like, oh, look, you didn't do that to that man and stuff like that. And you know, that's just people's opinion and all that. But the truth is that more than likely, Diddy probably beats up men too. And it doesn't really matter in ratio to that. Everybody knows he shouldn't have did that to that woman. But the truth is that we have this almost like we belong in this reality now, part of the whole that is becoming more chaotic and is leading into more chaos. And unless the chaos learns from itself, it's never going to change. And that's what happened with me. I learned from it. I was one of those people that ran wild, and I learned from my own actions. I learned from other examples that happened to me, and what I did was self-corrected. And am I all the way self-corrected? No, I think it's a lifetime process. I think I could get better. I think everybody in their life tries to attain greatness, and most greatness becomes from the inside out. Now, what I will say is every decision that I ever made, I made on a scale of justness. I never looked at something and just was like, oh, let's run down on this situation just because I feel like I can. I just wasn't that type of person, and I don't think I'll ever be that type of person. So that's something that you would stand on. That's more of a principle type of thing. And that's also another reason why I say I learned from my mistakes, because when I see the way the world is, I get mad at myself for some of the stuff that I did and I learned from. I get mad that I ever did it in the first place, because I'm like, oh, look at this. Look at how ignorant I was beforehand. And I actually believe that once punishment gets rendered, even in my case, once punishment gets rendered, I actually truly believe they'll look at it and be like, if they make it, they'll look at it and be like, wow, I can learn from this because I shouldn't have did that. And one of the things that the last things you can do, like one of the worst things you can do, excuse me, is to put somebody in prison for a crime that they didn't commit, right? This is like kind of one of those things where you just like, it's more disgusting than anything, right? I looked at Nelson Mandela for doing 24 years in prison, and he came out and he didn't even want to seek revenge on the people that put him there. He wanted to move forward. And then what do you have in South Africa? The same apartheid that you had back then. Nelson Mandela became president and didn't change anything. And see, this is what happens when you don't render punishment. Nothing is changing. So like, that's why rendering punishment is also a changing factor, because you would only change if you render pain, some type of pain. And that's part of the system. That's why I use wisdom in the beginning. And that's why I put wisdom as part of this, because this is part of the system. You have something, it continues on. It won't change if it could be good or bad, but either way it won't change unless you inflict some type of change in there. So something happens, boom, changes, pain, pleasure, whatever, boom, changes, pain, boom, change. Learn, grow, move on. You see what I'm saying? And I think most people can understand that. Now, we do have too much of a punishment system too, right? Because I'm gonna give you an example of this. I don't think I'm gonna ever like beat my kids or whatever, right? This is not like a thing that I think is necessary. I think that beating your child gives them the mindset that this is the type of punishment for people when they make mistakes. And this has been one of the hardest things for me to learn, because that's the first thing you will go to. And especially from a person like me who actually became a fighter. That's all I did was fight. So like one of the things that I learned even in the ring or in the on the mat, because I did martial arts too, is that you fight, you inflict, you hit, you get hit, boom, you hit back, boom, and you inflict the damage back to the person, right? But one of the things that I learned when I was practicing martial arts is that you learn how to fight justly. And that's why I said about the punishment part. You learn how to fight justly. And by justly, I mean that I don't fight. I would fight first and second degree black belts. I don't go higher than that, right? One of the reasons why I don't go higher than that is because in my system that I learned, I don't have a belt system. We can really just go by my experience. So I would just be like, this is how long, and I feel more comfortable fighting on that level. But I'm not gonna fight no brown belt karate bull. I would never do that. I just would not do that. This is just not a thing I would do, right? If you are not a threat to me, I'm not just going to run you over. This is just not something that I'm going to do. The problem is we live in a world where they do that. The preys on stuff. And I look and I'm like, wow, that's interesting, because the lion, even in the wild, they don't do that. The lion don't even swat the fly. He'd be like, all right, the fly's here on my face. I'm just chilling. But in this world for humans, in the human comparison of a lion in this world, in this society, especially in the Western society in America, soon as they see the fly, smash it, like, you mean, or anything else. And I think what we see now is that when you see a disparity, like the 1% controlling 99% of the wealth and stuff like that, you're seeing a lion swatting the fly. Matter of fact, they won't even feed the fly. Like, this how bad it is in our country right now, is that you won't even see a person helping out nobody. Everybody's struggling. You won't see nobody helping nobody out. And what have we got? An immense amount of greed. Right now, the system is completely broken. And nobody wants to fix it. Nobody's looking up and saying, oh my gosh, we need to fix this. Nobody wants to fix it. Everybody's acting like they want to fix it, but they don't. They don't want to fix it. And you know how I always tell who wants to fix it? This is the best key. Most people don't like me. Most people don't like me. They never like person speaking the truth. The most hated person on this earth speaking the truth is the person that speaks the truth. One of the things, that's a philosopher that said that. Voltaire said that. The most hated person is the one that speaks the truth. When you speak the truth, you're hated by all. You know why? Because you're courageous, and it's a bravery they don't have. Most people have to get in where they fit in. They have to fit certain positions because they can't make it nowhere else. I'm brave enough to know I can make it anywhere I want. I could go anywhere I want. I've been to college and prison. I could go anywhere I want. But I'm brave enough to do that. A lot of people are not. But the problem with the part of the system where I'm saying that is that more people will envy you because of that. They will literally look at you and envy you because of your light. Be jealous of you because of your light. Oh, he think he this, he think he that. You think he's that. You do. Because like I gave the analogy on the other video, like the bum on the curb, if you didn't think he was a threat, you would just never look at him. You walk past him. But because he's such a threat, you got to bring attention to it. And especially in my city, we have an immense amount of dick eating. It is completely insane. I like women. So, the last thing I want to do is dick eat another man. But that's what we got. Me, I've had it since I was young. I've always had that level of jealousy. So for me, it's not new. I know how to navigate through that. The young boy said he navigate through the snakes with a fine tool on his song. What was that? The boy Dirk Homie, I forget his name. And it's crazy too, because he was murdered at a young age, and he used to administer punishment that he felt was just, and he tells you that. And then we just have this cycle of we have a cycle of hate in our communities in general. And hurt people. And you know, that's the sad part, because the person in my case, when I looked at this person, I wouldn't even dealt with that person if it wasn't for the fact that I was keeping a promise. I'm such a man of my word. I was keeping a promise from his brother that I would take care of his family if something had happened to him. So here I am keeping a promise of, you know, taking care of somebody's family. If something happens to him, he was end up getting murdered or whatever. And, you know, years down the line, I found out that you've been trying to set me up for years. And, you know, one of the, like, you find out that a person actually doesn't particularly like you, which is cool, right? That's fine. But for a person to be actively trying to set you up, you know, and recruiting people to do it, like, I mean, like recruiting people to do it. This is like, this right here shows me, like, kind of where we at. And that's what we have in this society. Everything that happened in my life literally is a direct reflection of what I see outside. And I could give many examples. I can even show you my case and what you see, even in what I'll show you pictures. What I'll do is even use the analogy of a girl that I had, you know, at my house, where she was doing the same thing. And what you have in a country, a society like that, where everybody's trying to scheme each other, what you have is this society, or unnatural society. And that's what we see. If I was to measure my life and my experiences from what I see outside as a direct reflection, you'll see it. And people say, well, are you attracting these type of people into your life and things like that? Yes, I am. I cannot stop it. I can't stop attracting the darkness when I am the light. The darkness needs the light. It feeds off the light. And that's what I learned by doing my wisdom and my magnum opus, is that the darkness needs the light. And you're going to keep attracting a lot of darkness if you are the light. And I think when Jesus realized that, because even Jesus had a problem with it, he was just like, you know, my Father, why have you forsaken me, and all that. He was just like, damn, yo, you can never be good enough. And that's what I learned, even in the relationship that I had with the woman that I had a relationship with, one of the witnesses on my case, is that you could never be enough. You could never be good enough. It don't matter if you bring her the world. Now she wants the whole star system, the whole galaxy. You bring in the galaxy, now she wants the whole universe. You can never be enough. And what I learned for me is that I'm enough by myself. Because you have that whole universe inside yourself. All that traveling to different star systems and all that, yeah, we could do that if people would stop using missiles to kill each other. We could do that. We could use the technology to do that. But we're not going to do that. You know, because truthfully, it's too much like being right. And you have too much wrong in this right. So what the thing is that when people explore the inner selves, which I do with meditation and prayer and things like that, when you explore your inner self, you realize you got the whole universe, the whole observable universe inside yourself, and plus some. And all that love that I desired to give to other people, like my wife, all that loyalty that I desired for myself that I wanted to give to other people, like my wife or my child and things like that, I found within myself. And this guy that I was looking at his podcast, like, this guy was he gave a story on sleeping with the enemy, right? And he gave us a whole story and scenario, like kind of what happened to me about him being an architect and a woman coming in trying to asking her like, yo, I like your building. Can I want to build with you? And he was like, yo, we can build a house together. And he was using that analogy as a house, as like a life together. And what she did was she burnt the whole house down and then went outside and told everybody that was looking at the house on fire that he did it. And I'm laughing because I'm like, damn, that's what they do now. And Eve did that. Eve did that. Eve got Adam booked. This is the type of behavior that happens. Eve did that. Eve come over with the apple. Adam ain't know where you got that apple from. If Adam knew where he got that apple from, he'd be like, man, I'm not eating that. She didn't even say that the snake was over there. You get that? Y'all understand that? She didn't even tell Adam that she saw the snake. She just gave him the apple. Like, here, you want some food? He's like, yeah, let me get that. He could have been poisoned. She could have poisoned Adam. And that's what we see now. Just a disgusting relationships now. People are shacking up with each other over just because they homeless or whatever. They're shacking up with each other for social status or for money and things like, what is going on? What is wrong with you people? Have you no morality at all? Have you no integrity? Have we? Let me tell you something. And I said that people don't like me because I speak the truth. Let me tell you something about life. What you do for the least of, in the Bible says, what you do for the least of me, you do for me. That's what Jesus said. He said, what you do for the least of me, you do for me. Every time I see a person say, I don't like that person because of this, don't even know the person. So it didn't even inflict damage on you. You don't know him because of what somebody else said, what somebody else did. Anytime I see a person do that, I try to get away from him. I stay away from him. One of the reasons why I stay away from him because he's going to damage himself. Because if you want revenge or retribution for something that happened to you, that's one thing. Cool. I can. Everybody understands that. Nobody does not understand that. But if you want to do something to somebody for some stuff he hasn't done to you, for some stuff that you was not there for, you have no idea about, you are going to seek a harder revenge, a harder punishment. And I just don't want to be around you for that punishment. And that's what we got. That's the world we have. Because they will steal from a person. They will steal from a person. Be like, oh, I don't like that person. I'm going to steal from him. Oh, that person is a child molester. I'm going to steal from him. Oh, that person is a rapist. I'm going to steal from him. Oh, that person is a thief. I'm going to steal from him. Really? Interesting. But when that person comes back and does the same back to you, now you don't like it. Now you want greater revenge or whatever. But you shouldn't have did that in the first place. If you hadn't have done that in the first place, what you do for the least of me, you do for me. If you hadn't have done that in the first place, you wouldn't have got the revenge. That's what we have. That's the world we have. That's literally the world we have. That's especially the Western. That's the country we have for sure. We have a country full of thieves and scam artists that's scamming over the least of us. We have an economy that's scamming on the least of us. We have a society that preys on the least of us. Now you tell me how we're going to survive like that. I want no parts of that. Y'all do. Y'all may want it. You know who wants the parts of that? The people that's participating into that type of nonsense. They want all the smoke. They want all of that. Because you know why? Because they have more people helping them. They would never stand by themselves or even go through half the stuff that any of the least of them go through. They're not that strong. They would never be strong enough to survive homelessness, survive prison, survive any type of hardship, creating a business or whatever. They would never go through that. So what does they do? They steal. Or they do predatory practices. They're not strong enough to hold it down. They're weak. And then they portray themselves to be strong. That's what we have. That's the type of world we have, y'all. Now, because we have that world, you explain to me, how are we going to move forward with that? Anybody got any suggestions? Does anybody believe that we have a world? Yeah, we're never going to be able to move forward like that. There's only but so much that smoke screen, that world, that smoke screen you got, there's only but so much that you got hide behind that. Sooner or later, that they're going to blow all the smoke away and be like, what the freak is this? And you back there butt naked and ashy. Sooner or later, somebody's going to lift the skirt and find out that you are a female. Sooner or later, somebody's going to pull that mask off and find out that you were not that person. That's what we have. That's the world we have. That's the society we have. And to me, honestly, I don't participate in this society. I want no parts of that. That's why I stay to myself, and I stay by myself. I stay on my own, and I administer the punishment that I administer, because I don't want no parts of that. I don't want no parts of that type of system. I don't want no parts of preying on the weak. I don't want no parts of gossiping and participating in that level of effery. I don't want no parts of that. Nope. I don't even care if the majority does that. I want no parts of that, especially if the majority do it. If the majority did this stuff, I would never want parts of it, because the majority of people put all the people together and they're all stupid. If you put all the people together in one room, you would never be able to pick up you would never be able to pick out who got a doctorate in there and stuff like that, because they're all stupid. If you don't believe me, look at Nazi Germany. They had a doctor called Dr. Evil. Nazi Germany, Dr. Evil. He was a doctor, a medical doctor, experimenting on humans. What type of yo. You know how you can judge a person's character? Put them in a position of power and see what they do with it. And you'll see every type of debauchery you'll ever be able to want to see. And that's the system we have. And this is why God keeps putting us here in certain situations, because he needs you there, especially somebody like me. I knew why he put me in prison. I knew why. He put me in prison to save people. And then what I did was I made sure that I did the right thing. I tried to do the right thing. I tried not to harm nobody when I was in there, and I tried to give as much people game as possible so that they wouldn't come back. Because that's the system that we have. And right now, the world, for a good person, for a kind-hearted person, the world is completely in shambles. If you look at it, for a person that's participating in the system that love this, they'll be like, oh man, I love this. We having fun. Of course you are. Of course you're having fun. It's your world. You created it. But for a good person, he ready to start. He ready to crash out. That's the word we got. So that's why I base it on the wisdom, because this is the feedback that we have right now. Nothing's changed. And the sad part about it is when you look at Dr. Martin Luther King and Malcolm X, they would really be upset at us. They would be looking at this and being so upset at us. They would be like, man, look at this. You send me back. I'm going back to death. He would never want to be reborn back into this crap. He'd be like, nope. They're like, God, like, I'm going to send you back. You might save him. Nope. Forget that. I died once already. I'm good. Because y'all, this is what we got. This is what we got, y'all. When I go back into the next video, I'm going to break down the wisdom part for specifics and the feedback. That's more of a rant, right? And what I'm gonna do is, even with my case, I'm gonna even show you the girl I was talking about that was at my house scheming, because this is just the type of behavior it's completely insane, yo. It's mind-boggling when you read into this type of stuff. It's insane. Like it has to stop. I mean, it has to stop. It can't continue. And I mean, once you get to a point with me, you first of all, the last thing you ever want to do is to go up against somebody that has nothing to lose. There's nothing more stupid than that, unless you're another person with nothing to lose. But if you like life, or you like stuff or whatever, you would never want to do that, because you will have something to lose. So this is what we got.